So in terms of the rules, we have to remind you that, number one, you are still under oath and you still have the obligation to abide by the rules that we reminded you of in the first part of your testimony. We now want to focus more on going forward, what needs to be done. But the commissioners have the right and the authority to go back to 5 and 6 December 2024, where it is necessary for them to do so, and if they want to know anything. So perhaps now you are the Commissioner of Prisons.
Yes.
And when did you start in this role?
Okay, I was appointed as acting commissioner on the 1st of December by the president and confirmed the 1st of May this year by the president of the Republic.
Okay. I think where I would like you to start from is to educate us on the practical consequences of the events of 5 and 6 December. These events, did they create any challenges which today you are grappling with in prison?
Mr. Commissioner, I will say yes. We do have quite lots of challenges, especially in respect of manpower. Because if the prison did have their own elite team, I will say, to deal with any issues in the prison, things might have been different, because officers who deal with prison, they are trained officers on how to deal with any riot issues in the prison. I will say we do have some of these in some African countries. I know that there is this in Malawi, in Tanzania, and also there is a group. And the number of officers we have right now is a very big challenge, because taking into account the number of hours they are working. And we are discussing with the government to see how we can address this situation. We want to recruit more. By recruiting more, definitely it will help the prison, because we cannot have a prison which is punitive. In the world nowadays, there is no punitive prison. We need to have a prison which is rehabilitative. And once we have the rehabilitation is in progress in the prison, we need to have the reintegration into society. For example, if we do have an inmate who has spent 25 years in prison, let's say, and tomorrow he's going out. Right now we are just putting him back into society. But there is no this reintegration process. And there is a need to have this, and I know that the government is listening to us, and for us to have the induction center, so that inmates will know what to expect in the prison. They will know the rules of the prison, because right now there is no regulations. What happened? Yes, it is a challenge. And me and my team, we are working to ensure with the minister, with the president, we are working to really take care of challenges and create a different atmosphere in the prison.
Is there a challenge as well as regards the infrastructure of the prison?
Definitely, the infrastructure itself is not conducive. But once again, there are plans to maintain the infrastructure or to relocate. Maybe relocation will be important, because if I'm not mistaken, I've seen recommendations in an inquiry report, I think 2018. I saw this yesterday. There was recommendations to relocate the Montagne Posee prison from where it is now.
Maybe can you talk to us more about that inquiry. What informed the need for the inquiry? Who conducted the inquiry? And then maybe we can talk about the recommendations.
Mr. Commissioner, I will say that in 2016 there was an inquest made on the death of Mr. Banan. 2018 there was an inquiry headed by Justice Bernard Reno into the death of Steve Khan, the late Steve Khan. He was an inmate in the prison and he died in hospital. It is very sad that when I saw this yesterday, I talked to some of my senior officers, and they were not aware of this report. And there were recommendations in it which if it was ever came into the attention of the prison authorities or the officers, something would have been done based on the recommendations. And if the recommendations of the 2016 inquest in the death of the late Mr. Banan, things would have been different, because in 2018 it mentions the relocation, training of prison staff, prison officers, the uniform, every areas of this is mentioned in the report of the 2018 inquiry. And in the one 2016, it mentions in issues of firearms in the prison, lethal weapons in the prison, which resulted into the death.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
okay. Please go on.
Can you tell us what legal framework was Judge Bernard Reno appointed to deal with this
Well,
incident?
I think there was an issue on the death because there was the issue of drugs in the
I'm just asking the legal framework. Where did he get the mandate? And
No, the president appointed him, but I will not know I have not gone through this.
you have a report with you?
No, but I will make it available to the commission.
Well, I think you have shared the report
Yes, I'm
with
sure
the
this one, yes,
secretary,
yes.
and I think the president at that time
President
appointed a commission
Yes.
of inquiry
Yes.
of this nature, and he used the same legal framework.
And it addressed
Okay.
the issues of drugs.
Okay, let's we'll go to the recommendations, the specific recommendations. But I'm just wondering, sitting here, and perhaps I can get some help from you to understand if in your current role you have tried to find out why is it that these recommendations that you have just outlined have not been implemented.
On the one 2018, my deputy and all, they were not aware of it. And it was known to them only yesterday when I sent it in the mail. I shared it with them. And the one also of 2016, they were aware of it, but maybe nobody came to really put forth that this is the recommendations and we have to work on it. And I've had a discussion with Chief Inspector Niamtu yesterday. Both recommendations will be in our management data as work which needs to be carried out. Because we do have a data system developed by CINIM2, by all tasks by the executive is in it. And
so, are you telling us just by what you have just said now, are you telling us that the prison did not have a database where these reports from previous commission of inquiries are kept?
I know.
There was nothing.
No.
And I, unless fellow commissioners remember differently, I don't recall the previous commissioner of prison sharing that report with us. It is you who shared with us that report of a previous commission of inquiry, which was headed by a judge.
Yeah, this one is inquest, which was headed at that time Mrs. Burian Rose, a magistrate. So she headed the inquest into the death of Mr. Robert Bannan. And again, there were recommendations in it. And in it...
Is it an inquest or a commission of inquiry?
An inquest.
It's an inquest.
It's an inquest.
Okay.
But in the inquest, there are recommendations, useful recommendations, especially regarding firearms in the prison. And definitely we are following it. Once I was made aware of this, okay, by I think Mr. T informed me on this, if I'm not mistaken. And there was this inquest, and I went into it, and so I found some useful recommendations. And like I said, we are putting into practice. Right now, I will say, commissioners, we do not have any lethal weapons in the prison. We do not have any AK-47 in the prison.
Do you need them?
We don't need AK-47 in a civilian prison. All AK-47 has been handed over to the Seychelles Police.
Okay.
And it was collected by SP Mali, who's the Deputy of Response Services. We do not need AK-47 in the prison. We do not need to shoot prisoners in the prison. Why should we? And we are taking into consideration all the recommendations. And commissioners, one more thing is that listening to the Prison Commission of Inquiry is giving us an insight of what really is happening in the prison, and the SOPs are being put in place. I received the CRMU under the leadership of CI NIAM2. They did have their SOPs since, I think, 2014. And I've signed some new ones. And yesterday, I signed some new SOPs for human resources.
When you say SOPs, you mean
Standard operating procedures.
Standard operating procedures. Yeah, I think it's important to use language that,
Yeah.
you know, those
Standard operating procedures,
those that are
standing
followed,
orders.
understand.
Okay, we are putting in place. And as we speak now, the regulations of the prison is with a lawyer being finalized for us to have regulations because we do not have a prison regulations. The regulations is with I've sent it to the minister, and the minister has handed it over to a lawyer to work on it, and very soon there will be regulations in the prison governing the prison. But those are the don'ts.
You know, I've noticed that we are building up. There's the municipal prison that's going up, and I know that the present prison is quite congested. So we're just building more prisons. But what do you feel about reducing the prison population? Like sometimes we have civil offenders, people who not been paying their debts or whatever, they are sent to prison.
You know, my view is on this is that having civilian imprisonment is not good, because this person is sentenced non-payment of fines, whereby he could just be given a non-procedural sentence, work in the community, okay, under the supervision of the probation officers, and earn money for him or her to pay his fine. We do have instances where people are convicted for non-payment of fines, and if they qualify, we put them on work program. They work 1 or 2 months, they pay their fine, and then they're out. Because normally those people, they are not criminals. They have not paid their fines. But for me, there should be another method of, instead of sending them to prison, make them work. Community service. Oh, they work and then they pay their fine, under the probation. Right now, we are working on the license. License for inmates. Releasing them on license. Once they are released on the license, there are conditions with it. Conditions is that they are monitored, they are followed by the probation officers. And if they failed, one of the conditions outside, they will have to come back in the prison and finish their sentence. Because we have above 400 inmates right now in the prison. Releasing some on license will help a lot. And me and my minister, Mr. Kami, we are talking on this. We do have a list, and the probation officers, they are doing all they can to prepare reports for us to send the minister, because commission and the minister, they decide on the license of inmates. And this, we are trying to work on it to help reduce the number of inmates in the prison.
But that will dictate that you need more probation officers, because with the number that we have, that will maybe not be sufficient to monitor those who are released on license.
Definitely. The number of rehab officers, probation officers we have now is not sufficient, because they are also working with pre-sentencing reports from the court, and then to get them to follow those on license. We need more. Definitely, we will need more probation officers to help towards this, but we are moving.
What do you feel about getting the inmates who maybe are released to have the sort of, it's not a bracelet, within on their foot, maybe they'll have a sort of anklets or something like that, and
in fact,
so that they can be monitored, their movements can be monitored.
So this is one point which we have put in our budget to get electronic anklets and all, to wrist or whatever, bracelet, to help towards the monitoring of inmates. It is in our budget, and we've presented it to the minister. He's in favor of it, and definitely we will move towards this. We have to be innovative. We have to move with the trend in the world, and ensure that we do not have a prison just for the sake of having a prison. We sit down and we are happy when we do have 500 inmates. No, this is not the case. Okay, because we cannot have a prison if we have a place where people can just get released with good behavior and all. It will really help the prison authorities, because right now, the way it is not.
And earlier on, you talked about some inmates are allowed to go out to work, but within the prison itself, my visit to the prison, I've noticed that people are very just idle there. They're not doing anything. I don't know whether you've got a farm, whether you've got anything like that is going on, or whether you have a workshop where they can learn carpentry and all, and also like education. Maybe some of them would benefit from having some form of education introduced in prison.
Mr. Commissioner, we are discussing with CIDOL through the Prisoners Advisory Board. Very soon we'll sign an MOU with the Ministry of Education, because we want to send inmates to CIDOL or to SIT. And we do have the farm. We have started a farm at Montagne Posee for us to try and be self-sufficient in food and vegetables. And there are some inmates on it. Definitely there will be more coming in, more inmates. And I want to open a mechanic, a workshop. We do have some mechanics, some inmates, employ a mechanic from outside and get them to work. We are trying to get a place whereby we can start a carpentry workshop, and instead of buying furniture outside, we can do so. And if people visited the stall of the prison during the 50th independence anniversary, they would have seen that the ladies, they worked on some bags. Okay, we are trying to sell it. We are trying to come out. And today, one person has been employed as a prison officer, but his main task will be to reinvigorate our website, relook into the Facebook page of the prison, make the people out there know what really is happening in the prison. Like yesterday, Saturday there was a football competition among the inmates at Montagne Posee. Yesterday there was domino competitions. And we are planning to have more events, planning to have more work. STC has asked me more officers. Once they send the mail, there will be more officers coming out. There were officers working with PUC, officers at Den Marine, and I will say right now thank you to those companies.
You mean inmates, not officers?
Inmates working at Den Marine. And Den Marine, whenever some of them, they finish their sentence, they are employed with the Den Marine.
I think a big problem you have in prison is corruption. How do you tackle that?
I will agree that the issue of corruption is rife in the prison, and we are doing all with the security for us to install some security machines and other technical equipment so that we'll try and curb down. And we also know that working with humans is a bit difficult, and we are trying to propose the government for the prison officers to be well looked after, because working in a prison environment is not easy. Working 30 hours in 2 days, 700 hours to 8 the next morning is not easy, and at times they tend to get carried away. But we are proposing with a new scheme of service to the government to give them, review their salary structure, review their allowance, and see how best we can do this. It is not just an issue of punishing the officers, but we also have to think that the conditions of working right now, it is not good. Because if we take, for example, in the world, it is recommended to have one officer to 5.5 and 6 inmates on a shift. Right now, we are having one officer for 30 inmates, which is a bit too high. And the government is aware of this, and with the president, we are trying to see how best we can achieve. We are going to countries such as Tanzania, getting more officers, so that once we get more officers, we'll reduce. We cannot have officers working 60 hours per week. This is too much. 60 hours weekly, and in 2 days they are working 30 hours. It is much. And once we manage to sort out these issues, okay, together we'll tackle the issue of corruption, so that we will have a little bit of more order in the prison. But it is important also to note that we get lots of information from the inmates themselves. Whenever an officer will come with something in the prison, inmates will inform us. It's not only that they are incarcerated in the prison, but they also inform the authorities whenever there are things which is not going well. Okay, and definitely with regards to corruption, we are trying, the executive, we are trying to see how best we would have to sit down and address these issues.
Yeah, so I have a follow-up question on that, on what you've just mentioned. When you said the inmates report when there are some abnormal things that are being done or carried into the prison. One of the issues that came up during this commission of inquiry, right from the beginning, I mean throughout, is that there is a sense, and of course as a commission we haven't yet reached a conclusion, but there is a sense which we must acknowledge. There is a sense that one of the factors that contributed to the disturbances of 5 and 6 December were that there was no sufficient engagement between the leadership of the prison and the inmates, and there was no relationship of trust between the two. How, and without you commenting on whether that is correct or not, but how are you dealing with that in your current role?
You know, I visit the prison, and most of the time, I am in the main prison. I've had meetings with the lifers.
Sorry, when you say lifers, you mean those serving
Those
a
life sentence.
Life sentence, okay.
And I meet with convicts. For the past 2 weeks, I've not been able to go up to Montagne Posee due to other commitments in Victoria. But I meet with convicts whenever I am at Montagne Posee. I meet with them one-on-one. Okay? And if there are any issues which needs to be tackled, we do it. I visit them in their prison. I don't just tell them to come to me. I go to them. I visit the remand center even at night, on Sundays. I visit the LDR camp. I've had meetings with them.
So, no, I think you have painted a picture of how engaged you are. And you have been serving in this position since December 2025. So today that would be
around 7 months, 7, 8 months.
You know, us lawyers, we are not trained mathematically, so so 7 months. So in the past 7 months, has the prison advisory board ever visited Montagne Posee?
Yes.
Prison? Okay.
Yes.
How many times?
Well, I think twice. Twice, because at times they have their meetings up there. I've met with them a couple of times. And whenever they want to visit, they just inform me, and I will make it. I will just.
So tell us how these visits happen. So they arrive at the prison.
They arrive at the prison because normally when they visit, I am not there.
Okay.
Okay, I just leave them. The officers meet them, and they visit. Definitely, there will be security officers with them visiting the prison. If they want to visit the main prison, they can visit. The last time they asked me for them to visit Posee, I told them, okay, they can't because Posee was still under construction. And once it is, I think by this week, everything will be okay, then they can visit. I have a very good working relationship with the board.
Do you know if there is a legislative or National Assembly committee? That
Security committee.
Yes. Has they ever visited the prison?
No.
During your term?
No, during my time, no.
Not yet.
But maybe they will come.
Do you think they should visit?
Well, you know, they are from the assembly, and if they want to visit, then no, it's okay because they visit the prison, the military, and they want to visit the prison.
I'm not asking about whether they have the power to do so. I think we agree that they have got the power to visit. But I'm asking the question whether you think it is important for them to be engaged by way of visiting you and visiting the prisons.
If they want to be engaged, maybe I will say I cannot tell the assembly what to do, but if they want, they can. Maybe we can have meetings We can have meetings to discuss some points. But visiting the prison itself, it is a bit difficult on this because, you know, politicians are visiting the prison.
Yeah. Now, I ask this question, maybe it's important to clarify. I ask this question because you earlier on, you know, made reference to best practices elsewhere. So in some parts of the world, that parliamentary committee treats prisons as a security issue. So they often engage with the leadership of prisons on an ongoing basis in order to, to hold you accountable.
I will say that it is time for the prison to be given its rightful place. Because in the Constitution it is stated that there are 3 disciplinary forces: the military, the police, and the prison services. And we play a very important role in the security of any country. Because if today inmates escape from the prison, it is a big problem. We get visitors coming in when the prison is not safe. Because people tend to migrate the prison with criminals. You know? Because those people, they are up there, so they are criminals. And it is time for the prison to be looked at as security establishment in the country, because we are up there. The court has sent 400 or so people in our care, in the care of the Commission of Prisons. So it is our duty to ensure that they are kept at the Montagne Posee prison until they finish their sentence. You know, because even now, for the prisoners, for them to come back into society, it is a taboo because, well, this guy has been for prison. Yes. He has been from prison. Yes, I do agree. But he's a human being. The only rights he has lost when going to prison is his right of liberty. But he has a right to reintegrate into society. Okay? Because there is a need to review the laws, the Probation of Offenders Act. The president pardons prisoners today when he's pardoned by the president, so there is no offense. But he works with the sentence for the rest of his life. No? And the prison plays a very significant role in the security of a country. I know the president is on top of this, the minister is, and we need to get all the people to view the prison as an important actor in security of Seychelles. Not just a place where there is a bunch of people who have been convicted, like they say, criminals at Montagne Posee or remands at Bois-des-Roses. No. We play a role in the security of this country.
Yeah, I think you have made a point there that I think as a commission, we I think obviously agree it's a security issue. Okay, Commissioner Tihant?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Mr. Dunu, somewhere along the line, I think I did listen to the word induction, but I would like to just propose to you, or what do you think of establishing an induction unit specifically to induct prisoners or, convicts just convicted, whereby they spend a period of time, say 2 weeks, to be able to understand the new life they are going into, their do's and don'ts, the doctors and you name it, so that the day they are removed from this induction unit, they know exactly what is expected from them. Yeah. What are your views on this?
You know, I would tell you one thing, Mr. Commissioner, is that this is a very important point, because we do have in plan an induction center. But induction center cannot be at Montagne Posee. We cannot have an induction center in the prison. The induction center is to bring the people of faith with the prison life. We need to get this out, because we are planning, once the Perseverance Remand Center is completed, okay, maybe we'll discuss and see temporary if we can use the Body Rose Remand Center. Because we need to get an induction center outside of the prison. Like you said, sir, the convicted persons will spend 2 weeks, 1 or 2 weeks, see the doctor, see the rehab officers, the welfare officers, and getting the explanation on what do you expect in the prison, the regulations of the prison. Okay, will you be given the remissions or not? Because it is time for us to start thinking of, once you are in this induction center, okay, after 2 weeks you will be in the main prison. So we have to prepare you. Because right now you're just convicted, we just put you in the main prison. It is your first time in there and you get confused. You rightly said, yes, we are working on an induction center, and it is in initial stages of planning with SIA, but definitely we will ask for another location instead of having it at Montagne Posee.
Okay. Secondly, have you, what are your views on putting in place a modern scheme of service and going out to the schools, especially the school leavers, in order to attract young officers to join the prison service, and to explain to them that, you know, there is a career in the prison service. The prison service is not just locking people and going home and leaving them there. There's a career in the prison service. What are your views on this?
You know, this is something which I've discussed unofficially with the president, going out to the schools, and he's really in appreciation of this. And I have submitted a new scheme of service to the minister, because we feel that there is a need for this. And in the scheme, people with qualifications. We cannot just say that the prison, if you want to be a prison officer, we need to drop out of school. No. It is a vocation in itself. You need to know how to work with inmates, how to treat them. And definitely having a new scheme will help. And going out into the schools, it is also because right now we do have officers who is in India on training, 5 of them. More will be leaving very soon, attending the ITEC training program. I do believe in training. And I also admire some young ladies who had just finished school. They are working at Montagne Posee as rehabilitation officers. I think we have 2 or 3, around 3 or 4 of them. They have just started work and they are doing very good. Our aim is to get people with education, people with the right mentality and all to join the prison, so that we will together, we will help to remove this thinking outside that once you are a prisoner, you will always be a prisoner. This needs to be changed.
Sorry, Commissioner Tehant, if I may just jump in there. Of course, I think part of what this commission is doing is to sort of provide a window for the public to understand, what being in prison means, the challenges, and to appreciate some of these issues that you are raising. But the commission will end soon. The inquiry will end soon. What measures, what programs are you thinking of to sort of change public perception towards inmates? I mean, particularly for them to understand this very point you are making, that an inmate must serve their sentence and must behave when they are in prison, but must also be rehabilitated so that they can be integrated back into society and be a constructive citizen. So what measures are you thinking of, if any, to change that public perception?
Firstly, Mr. Chair, the Commission, yes, your mandate will end very soon, but your recommendations will be here to stay.
Well, you've just thrown back the challenge at us.
We've started discussing with the head of probation unit on how best to start rehabilitating our inmates for the reintroduction into society. We are looking at ways to get training overseas, because in the five officers in India right now, they are from welfare, counseling, and rehabilitation, probation and rehabilitation unit. So they are in India. They will come back with knowledge on how best to tackle this. Okay. And definitely, our plan is, once we have this induction center, it will not only be the induction, but when the inmates are leaving also, we have to, according to the law, we need to follow them even after they leave the prison. Okay? It is in our plans, okay, to make sure that they know about this, and whenever we are requesting for them to be released on license, on pardons, we visit their place of abode.
I think you've answered my question, and I take note that you have thrown back the challenge at us that we must generate some ideas on how this can be done. I think the commissioners will think about it. Back to you, Commissioner.
Okay. There are three questions, yeah? Now, when I refer to documentations that the prison has in its custody to carry out its function, we've got the Nelson Mandela rule, which is well spoken about. Then we've got the human rights approach to prison management, which is in the, and somewhere between the two, which I don't recall, it talks about opening the prison to the civilian population in order to get society to understand and participate actively in what the prison is all about. This is one point probably that we would like to ask you your views. And the second view is, I think this comes from the human rights approach to prison management, whereby they talk about a prison, modern prison, which has got nothing to do with defense and homeland security or whatever it is. The prison falls under the purview of a justice ministry, which works the whole process of the Justice Department. The prison falls under this purview. I don't know what are your views with regards to this.
Whenever, like you said, the Mandela rules, human rights, but we do have also the Istanbul Declaration, which also makes reference to prisons management, the way how to treat inmates. We are working on going through all of this so as to make sure that inmates are being treated not as kings and queens, but as human beings. With regards to the prison being under the Justice Ministry, it is a good point, because it is said that we are getting inmates from the judiciary. But right now, the prison falls under government. And the judiciary is another pillar of the government. Maybe at the right time, the government will decide if they appoint. I'm not a politician. I can be one day maybe. If they do appoint a minister of judiciary, will this not be a problem with the independence of the judiciary? Because Seychelles has an executive style of government, 3 branches of government: judiciary, legislature, and the presidency. Appointing a minister of judiciary, this minister of justice, this can create a problem with regards to the independence of the judiciary. That's my view.
I believe the judiciary will remain independent even if you have a Minister of Justice. A Minister of Justice, this is more the executive appointing a minister which will take care of certain issues regarding justice. But the role of the judiciary as being independent will remain the same.
Yeah. But if this is the case, then it is okay for me as long as I am there and we are working. Rules and procedures are in place. Then,
because CP, what it states in what I just said is that when it is in a Ministry of Justice, it will stop the interference of forces like the police, the military, and whoever to access the prison. This will be done differently. So they have seen the danger. When they wrote about this, they saw the danger of what might happen if it was the same as it was before.
You know, this is one reason. But for me, if the Commissioner of Prisons knows his role and responsibilities, there will be no interference in the prison by the police or the military. Because as the Commissioner of Prisons, you have the superintendent of the prison, and the law gives you this power. The police, if they want to access the prison, they need to get your permission before they can access the prison. It can so happen, yes, if ever tomorrow it falls under the Ministry of Judiciary, if the government of Justice, sorry, if the government decides to have this ministry. But as is now, I will guarantee my officers that this issue of interference will not happen, because we will make sure that we do not see a repetition of what happened in 2024 or what happened in 2016. Because once we will sit down and discuss, learn of all the recommendations in place by the different judiciaries and inquests carried out in the prison, we have to learn from there, like we are doing now on this inquiry going on now. We are learning.
Okay. So one question is out. I've got 2 remaining. One is, I want your views, yeah? I want your views because information has dictated that in the past, what you just spoke about, your plans, to have a mechanical workshop, to have a carpentry workshop, to organize educational courses for the inmates. Information we have about the prisons in the past, all of this existed. It was there. So, you see, on one side, I wish you well with your plans. But I hope that in the coming 5, 6 years or 2 years or whatever, we don't hear a new person coming in and say, you know, this is our plan. So we're going to organize workshops for the mechanics. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. My question is, where does the collapse happen, in your opinion? Where have we lost track of what was in existence? And so we are coming back now in 2026 to do exactly what was in place years ago. I'm talking years ago. All of this was there.
You know, when you have a plan, you put it down on paper. It's like you want to start a business. I'm thinking I want to start a business, so I put it down. And then I go forward with it. The desire to make things work. If you want it to work, put it down and let us move with it. Share ideas. My team, my executive team right now at the prison, they know what I want. Right now we are organizing for a long service awards for the staff of the prison. Make them have the sense of belonging. They have spent 20, 15, 35 years. And once you have SOPs in place, I want to introduce, let's say, if tomorrow I want to introduce a commissioner's trophy. I have an SOP with it. And the SOP, once signed, approved by the commissioner, is valid until declared null and void by the one who will take my place tomorrow. But this was not the case. There are plans. Plans must not be only in books on the shelf. Put plans into being. Where is the Friends of Prison? Very soon, Friends of Prison will be there. I've had a meeting with Father Ryan Volse on this. Okay? This was a way to get the people outside to know what really is happening in the prison. And with the arrival of someone who will be taking charge of our Facebook and all, okay, together with the minister's office, people will know what is happening in the prison. But if we have plans, Mr. Commissioner, and we decide to say we only have plans, plans in itself will never move from the shelf and say, please, I am your plan, do it. You have the plan. You are the ones who need to put it into action. That's what needs to be done. The desire to do things. We cannot just say, I am the commissioner of prison, I will just wait for my salary at the end of the month. No. You have to earn what you are being paid for, not just wait for it. That's what we want to bring in the prison. People who will work for the salary and not just sit down and wait for the salary. Earn it.
Okay, sir. Now, my last question is, you know, I'm going back to earlier this morning. You said when you went to the prison on that night, you were as an observer on the scene, yeah? And obviously, when we understood the sequence of working in police operations, you've got the 3 different levels of authority. You've got the gold, the silver, and the platinum or bronze or whatever you want. Now, in testimonies given to us here, we called...
Maybe just define again the gold, the silver, and the bronze for the purpose of those that are following the
I mean,
proceedings.
Mr. Denus can clarify in your police network what you defined as the gold, the silver, and the bronze.
Anyway, this is based on the level of people who are sitting on it. We all know the platinum, the gold, is headed by the president. Okay?
Is
And
it
then
the president only?
President headed this, yes. So the one, well, he will appoint one. And then we have the ones headed by minister, and the one by the commissioner. In fact, on this time, if there was this in place, which would have been headed by the commissioner or the deputy. Because in any event outside of the prison, it is said that the commissioner, in the role of disaster, the commissioner. Now there is the disaster management. But there should have been in place this committee. For proper clarity, once there was this committee in place, if it was, okay, all of us would have been sitting around the same table, then there would have been better planning and all.
Okay. But then we in testimony that we had here, we had members of the gold level, the silver level, and obviously the bronze level. Now, when we questioned the gold level individuals that were supposed to be in the gold, no one, if I'm right, no one said that they had any contacts with the silver level on the scene that night. Yes? And obviously you were there at the prisons. Did you at any time receive a call from a person from the gold level?
Okay, I received call from the commissioner, I think once, and I also received a call from the president at that time. He asked me what really was happening in the prison, what was happening, what was the situation, and I told him what really the situation was based on what information I had, and the commissioner will let him know. If the commissioner called him or contacted him after this, I will not know. But once we were in contact, okay, because when I was at Montagne Posee outside.
So you confirm that the president did speak to you?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the former president, right?
Former.
The former president, yeah. He did speak to you?
Yes.
Okay.
You done? Okay. One of the major component in running a prison and to ensure that everything goes according well is discipline. And obviously, not all the prisoners you receive at the prison are disciplined. So what is your plan regarding discipline?
You know, sir, once we do have some offenses right now at the prison staff, but it is limited. But once we will get the regulations in place, okay, then we will be able to implement discipline to the level we want it to happen. But right now, if ever there's an inmate, let's say who is on work program, and we do have information that they are not behaving, they will be removed from the work program, removed. But there are no such issues where to put them in dry cell, whatever, because I've told the officers, please, there is no dry cell in the prison. There are cells. There are the care transform cells or unit whereby we do put officers in there for their safety. If ever there's one, like a police officer will come and they will put in a cell, but it is not a dry cell. Okay, it is a care cell whereby people will, we do have everything in there. Dry cells are cells without toilets and all. There is one of these cells in Gate 1, but this Gate 1 cell is being used as a transition cell, not as punishment. Maybe inmates who are going to Royal, they will be picked up in the morning, come to Montagne Posee at 7 in the morning, and then when it is ready, they are being put in this cell, okay, temporarily until they are dropped at the Royal court. We do not have any place for punishment. But right now, what we are using, if you're on work program, we remove you from work program. You stay in the main prison. But some inmates are being removed. They are being put in the cell, in the care control cell for their own safety. If there is a fine and all, until we can sort out issues. But it is not dry cell, which will be used as punishment for the inmates. We put them in the city, which is the care transition unit, but not a dry cell.
And what do you think about classification of prisoners?
Very important, because if the prison setting did allow us to classify prisoners, we will do it, because right now, the setting of the prison does not allow us to classify prisoners other than the lifers. Okay, because we need prison with the right infrastructure, whereby we can surely classify the prisoners according to what the law states. This is very important. And we are working towards this. We are working with the government to make sure that we try and do something on this side.
And also, the last time we went to prison, and the testimonies we've had here as well, is regarding remandees being kept at the prison. So what are you doing to ensure that this is not what should be happening?
So we are in discussion with my officers for us to ensure that we use the maximum capacity remand center. But very soon, Perseverance, the first phase has been completed. The second and third phase, they are starting this month. Once Perseverance is completed next year, all the remands will be at Perseverance. We will make sure that there are no remands at Montagne Posee, because remands cannot be in the prison. But definitely, the remand center at Perseverance, once completed, we will allocate all the remands in this place by 2027, because the building will take about 12 months to be completed. By this time, maybe next year, or by December next year, it will be in operations, and the inmates, definitely the remand inmates, will be at Perseverance.
All right. Thank you very much, Commissioner of Prisons, Mr. Antoine Joseph Tunis, for your testimony this well, it's now afternoon. This afternoon, it helps us to get a window into how you are, in a way, trying to address some of the challenges. Of course, the Commission is unable to ask you about every challenge and every reform that you are driving, because our mandate is limited to the 5 and 6 December 2024 events and other issues that are directly connected to that. So I know you probably would have wanted to share more about other things that we're doing, but we are limited in terms of our mandate. And I think it's also important for members of the public that might be following these proceedings to also understand that we have that limited mandate. So we are not able to ask you why is this happening and why is this happening if it falls outside of our mandate. But thank you so much. And if we take the view that we need further information from you, we will contact you again. If you also come across any information that you think is helpful, please share it with us. And I must commend you for being proactive in sharing information that helps us a lot in terms of what we are doing. I need to also flag and remind you and everyone of your rights, one of which is the right not to be victimized in any way by anyone. I know you are the Commissioner of Prisons, but I mean, we have had other people in positions of authority also appearing before us, and we treat all our witnesses the same way, regardless of their positions in society, and they have the same rights. So the law requires us to state that you have that right not to be victimized in any way for having cooperated with the Commission today or in future or in the past. Nobody has a right to directly question you or interrogate you about your testimony today. If they have any information which they want to give to the Commission which challenges what you have given us, or which contradicts what you have given us, or which clarifies what you have given us, they have a right to contact the Commission through the Secretary, and we will provide them with audience in one form or another. But otherwise, nobody has a right to question you or interrogate you. And if that happens, please direct them here. But also, if you are victimized, file a complaint with us and we will investigate and take corrective action to address that. Otherwise, thank you very much, and I think this is the end of your testimony. But before we terminate the proceedings and go on a short break, when we are supposed to have our next hearing now, but I'm sure we are running behind schedule. So should we, Commissioner, should we take a 15-minute break and then?
Yeah, but we'll have to stop at 1:30 because we've got the judgment to deliver.
Okay.
Yeah. About 15 minutes,
Yeah.
and then we can come back.
So maybe let's take 10 minutes. If we can try to take 10 minutes exactly, then we start early with the next witness. So which means that we resume at 23 past 12. Okay. Thank you very much. You may terminate.